I'd like to call this meeting to order of the Knox County Commission for Monday, September 25th, 2023. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Lundy.
Oh, here.
Commissioner Lundy. Commissioner Durrett.
Here.
Commissioner Oster.
Here.
Commissioner Ward. Commissioner Schoonmaker.
Here.
Commissioner Hill.
Here.
Commissioner Lee. Here. Commissioner Beeler.
Here.
Commissioner Daly.
Here.
Commissioner Jay.
Here.
Commissioner Frazier.
Present.
10 members are present.
Thank you. And I apologize, I haven't had a chance to look around. Are there any elected officials? Thank you, Sheriff Spangler, for being here. I also see, please stand up, Representative McKenzie. And also, I'm very tickled to have former Representative Joe Armstrong here, if you'd stand also. You bet. Is there anyone else that I haven't recognized? All right, thank you. I'll now turn the meeting over to Commissioner Schoonmaker for our devotional.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It gives me great honor to have our Chief of Corrections for the Knox County Sheriff's Department, William Purvis, to do our devotional today. When he's not working 65 plus hours at the corrections facility, he does also have another job that he's the pastor of the North Acres Baptist Church. So please give Mr. Purvis a warm welcome, please.
Thank you all for the opportunity to do this devotion. My devotion today is going to be from the Gospel of John in the 3rd chapter. This scripture, as we look at it, it speaks to an area of our life that many of us, we have this desire to have more of an impact, more influence, more significance in our life, to be able to provide more service to the world that we live in. And often we think that pathway to more is through addition to things in our life. Sometimes we think that, reading another book, going to another conference, having another seminar is going to enrich our lives and help it to expand, that we might be able to create more influence in this world. But in that gospel, there is a time period where John the Baptist, he has his disciples, they are baptizing in the same area that Jesus' disciples are baptizing. And as John the Baptist, his disciples are looking over and they see more and more people coming to be baptized by Jesus' disciples, they begin to become a little jealous. And they run and they go to John the Baptist and they said, Rabbi, this one that you bore witness to on the other side of Jordan, he's baptizing more people than we are. All men are being drawn to him. And John the Baptist's disciples were expecting them to commiserate, or John to commiserate with them, and maybe even go speak to Jesus about all these numbers that are coming to him and the dwindling numbers that are coming to John the Baptist. But John the Baptist didn't respond that way. In fact, he started pointing them towards Jesus, and he said to his disciples, he said, he must increase and I must decrease. And he was pointing out again, and that was in John chapter 3, verse number 30. And to remember the words of our Lord in Matthew 11:11, he spoke about John the Baptist, and he said, amongst those that are born of women, there was not a greater than John the Baptist. And for him to emphasize that he had to decrease and that Jesus must increase is a reminder to each one of us that when we desire to have this significance or impact, we want to do more in this world to show the love of our Lord and to serve more people. That pathway isn't through the addition of many other things, but it's by us decreasing and losing that desire to bring the spotlight upon ourselves and shining that spotlight on Jesus, showing his love to others in the way that we live our lives. And if you don't mind, I'd like to pray for all of you today. Heavenly Father, Lord, I thank you so much, Lord, for your son. We thank you, Lord, for the life that he lived, the life that he gave on the cross of Calvary, Lord, that we might be able, Lord, to come into your family, to have life everlasting, Lord, and Heavenly Father, to become new creatures. And Heavenly Father, Lord, I just pray for each and every one of these servants of yours that are here today. Lord, I ask that you would guide and direct in each and every one of their lives, Lord. We ask that you would give them wisdom from on high, Lord, that they would make decisions, Lord, that would honor you and, Lord, that would serve your people. Oh, Heavenly Father, Lord, we ask these things today in that most holy of all names, the name of Jesus. Amen. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And we'll now stand, please, for the Pledge of Allegiance led by Commissioner Daly.
Madam Chair,
Yes, sir.
I'd like to introduce a veteran and one of our favorites as a law officer, and I want to thank all law officers and all EMTs and all emergency personnel that out there serving today. It's a hard job, and didn't plan it this way, but I asked Sheriff Spangler to do the Pledge of Allegiance tonight. Sheriff?
Thank you.
You'll face the flag. Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. This is the first evening that we are having a meeting with our new microphones. I am curious if you all feel like there's feedback up here. Are you hearing us clearly? Is it all right? All right, thank you. Commissioners, did you notice any feedback from the public podium when the speaker was speaking? I don't know, Hex, if I don't know if it was too loud, but there was a lot of feedback that was not allowing us to be able to hear clearly. So we will get this figured out. We appreciate very much your patience. We are now going to set the agenda. If everyone will please take these additions and notes down. We are adding to the agenda 28, 29, 37, 45, and R239910. We are deferring items 42 and 51 to October. On our non-consent agenda, we have items 30 through 32, 34, 35, 38, 39, 40, 41, 43 through 50, and 52. Are there any that I need to repeat? Thank you. Now I will entertain motion to approve the agenda of the regular board meeting.
Motion to set the agenda.
Second.
Motion by Daly, by Jay, second by Frazier. Is there any discussion on this? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Madam Clerk, please read the first honorary resolution. Oh, I apologize. This is my first meeting chairing, so I've skipped something here. We have approval to the agenda. Now I'm looking for a motion and a second, please, to approve the education and general consent agenda.
Motion to approve the education and general government consent calendars.
Second.
Thank you. Motion by Beeler, second by Lee. Is there any discussion on this? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you for that. All right, now, Madam Chair, if we could move to our resolutions.
Resolution R-23-9-101 is memorializing Thomas Tank Strickland.
Do I see a
Move
motion to approve?
Move to approve.
Second.
A motion by Lundy, a second by Durrett. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The floor is yours, Commissioner Lundy.
You wanna? You.
Go ahead, please.
She's gonna read it.
She wants you to read it.
Okay. This is a resolution of the Commission of Knox County, Tennessee, memorializing Thomas Tank Strickland. Whereas Thomas Tank Strickland was a revered and integral part of our community, whose leadership and service have left an indelible mark on the lives of all who were fortunate enough to know him. And whereas Thomas Tank Strickland began his journey of public service as a special assistant to the city mayor in 1997, where he showcased his devotion to bettering the lives of others, proving that leadership is not about being in charge, but about taking care of those in your charge. And whereas he was elected to the Knox County Commission in 2002, setting a standard of honesty, integrity, and transparent governance that would serve as a model for years to come. And whereas Thomas Tank Strickland shattered glass ceilings and paved the way for future generations when he became the first African-American chairman for the Knox County Commission in 2008. Whereas his service was not limited to the chambers of governance, but extended into the very heart of the community, where he was passionately involved as the board chair for the Community Action Committee, CAC, always willing to lend a hand where needed. And whereas Thomas Tank Strickland was a devoted community leader who made significant contributions to the betterment of his locality, always putting the needs of his community above his own, and thereby embodying the essence of true leadership. And whereas he strongly believed in the principles of brotherhood, unity, and lifelong education, which he passionately propagated through his membership and contributions to the Omega Psi Phi Fraternity, Incorporated, preparing the next generation of leaders. And whereas Thomas Tank Strickland's selfless leadership, unflagging commitment to service, and unwavering love for his community have left a legacy that will endure for generations. Now therefore be it resolved by the Commission of Knox County as follows. The Commission of Knox County, Tennessee hereby honors and memorializes Thomas Tank Strickland as a true servant leader whose impact will be felt for generations to come. Be it further resolved that copies of this resolution be sent to the family of Thomas Tank Strickland, as well as be made publicly available so that his exemplary life may continue to serve as an inspiration to us all. Be it further resolved that this resolution is to take effect from and after its passage as provided by the Charter of Knox County, Tennessee, the public welfare requiring it.
Thank you so much. I want to honor his wife, who is standing next to me, Terry. We are standing with you and praying for you. I know it's a difficult time, and also it's not easy being married to a public servant. So thank you for sharing Tank with us. And also standing behind me are his fraternity brothers, former state representatives Joe Armstrong and Carrot State Representative Sam McKenzie. So I guess Omega has always produced leaders and public servants, I see. If y'all don't mind, can we take a picture? And before we do that, Terry would like to say something.
Good afternoon. It was 23 years ago that I watched my husband prepare to be a Knox County Commissioner for the 1st District. His campaign's slogan, was Roll with Tank. The 1st District rolled with Tank, and so did everyone else. And we're still rolling with Tank. I am grateful and appreciative to the commission for recognizing the work that he has done in this community. And I have no doubt in my mind or in my heart that Tank is looking down on this day with a smile of acceptance. So on behalf of myself and my family and his fraternity brothers, we thank you so much for this honor.
Yes. Next item, Madam Clerk.
It's Resolution R-23-9-102, honoring Julie Thompson upon her retirement as a longtime exemplary school leader who has positively influenced so many young lives in our community.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion by Frazier, second by Beeler. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to say what a privilege it is for me as someone who grew up in the Coreyton community and have deep roots there to get to recognize the Thompson family, as well as honor Miss Julie Thompson for her contribution and really lifetime dedicated to public education for our community, other communities, and for all of Knox County. It's especially close to my heart. My mom was in Knox County school system for over 50 years. Both my cousins, which I'm sure you guys know, Miss Julie and Miss Dorcas, were both retired from Knox County as elementary school teachers. So this is a wonderful day, and we're grateful for you, Miss Julie, and for all your family. And I'm going to turn it over to Commissioner Frazier now to read this resolution.
Thank you, Commissioner Beeler. It's such an honor to celebrate you. Whereas Julie Thompson recently retired after a 30-year career in education, providing the highest quality education for Knox County students. And Whereas Julie Thompson earned both a bachelor's degree and master's degree in elementary education from the University of Tennessee, as well as an education specialist degree in administration and supervision from Lincoln Memorial University. And whereas Julie Thompson joined Knox County Schools in 1993 as a teacher at Coreyton Elementary School teaching 4th grade. And whereas after 9 years as a classroom teacher, in 2002, Julie Thompson began her career in administration as an assistant principal at Christenberry Elementary School before serving in 2004 as interim principal at Sunnyview Primary, and from 2004 to 2012 serving as principal of Carter Elementary School. And whereas in 2012, Julie Thompson was named elementary supervisor and later promoted to executive director of elementary education, a position she held for 7 years. And whereas Julie Thompson was named executive director of academic supports in 2022 and held this position in her last year at Knox County Schools before retiring. And whereas over the course of her tenure with Knox County Schools, Julie Thompson received several prestigious awards and recognition for her excellence in education, including the Tennessee Principals Association Supervisor of the Year, Tennessee Education Association Distinguished Administrator, the NAESP National Distinguished Principal, and Knox County Schools Top 10 Principal Award. And whereas additionally, in 2009 and 2010, Julie Thompson received in first place and second place, respectively, the East Tennessee Principal Award from the National Education Consumers Foundation, which recognizes principals for their leadership qualities, which have catapulted them into the category of the best when it comes to advancing their students academically. And whereas the Commission desires to recognize and applaud Julie Thompson for being a longtime exemplary school leader who has positively influenced so many young lives in our community. Now therefore be it resolved by the Commission of Knox County as follows. The Knox County Commission hereby honors Julie Thompson for 30 years of dedicated and meaningful service in the Knox County school system as a teacher and administrator, and commends her steadfast commitment to student success and academic excellence over the years. Be it further resolved that this resolution be presented to Julie Thompson, and in doing so, wish her a happy and fulfilling retirement. Be it further resolved that this resolution is to take effect from and after its passage, as provided by the Charter of Knox County, Tennessee, the public welfare requiring it. Please help me celebrate Ms. Julie Thompson.
Wow, that makes me tired just thinking about that. Thank you so much for this recognition. It has been an honor and privilege to serve the students of Knox County Schools and to work closely with teachers, principals, central office staff, superintendents. It's really been a joy of my life. And I could not have done it without my family, and just recognize them and thank them for all their support throughout these years. So thank you again. This was a real surprise. So.
Oh, thank you. We pulled one off on her. This was indeed a surprise, so yay for us.
Julie, you think they'll really let you go this time?
I'm sorry.
I said, do you think they'll really let you go this time? She's tried before to do this and hasn't been able to release herself. Next item, please.
It's Resolution R-23-9-103, honoring the Hardin Valley Academy Arrowhawks.
We have a motion to approve. Do we have a second? Second. Motion made by Commissioner Hill, second by Commissioner Frazier. Do we have any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries.
Please come forward. Before I read this resolution, I just want to ask each one of you, how many of you have ever been a part of or had a child or even a grandchild who came home from school one day and said, hey, I want to join this new club. And they joined this new club, and the next thing you knew, a year later, your child was getting an all expenses paid trip to Paris, France, because their club had excelled so much that they were offered this scholarship by sponsors to go. I think that's pretty incredible, and I haven't even read the resolution yet, so. Whereas Hardin Valley Academy Aerohawks recently completed the first year of aerospace engineering competition, with Team 1 finishing in first place at the American Rocketry Challenge and Team 2 finishing 10th place. And whereas the American Rocketry Challenge is the world's largest student rocket competition, with more than 4,500 students from nearly 800 teams entering the 2023 competition, and both HVA teams qualified for the national competition by being in the top 100 teams. Whereas to qualify for the finals, each team had to design, build, and launch a model rocket that safely carried one large egg to an altitude of 850 feet, stayed airborne for between 42 and 45 seconds, and returned to the ground safely. Whereas, after winning the national championship at the American Rocket Challenge and the best score of 100 teams, HVA Team 1 advanced to represent the United States at the International Rocketry Challenge held at the Paris Air Show and finished 4th place in the international competition. Whereas the president and CEO of the Aerospace Industries Association recognized that Hardin Valley Academy's hard work, creativity, and mastery of science and math separated them from a talented field at the national finals. And whereas both HVA teams also finished strong in 2 competitions sponsored by the Academy of Model Aeronautics and qualified to participate in NASA's Student Launch Initiative to continue their exploration of rocketry with high-powered rockets and challenging mission parameters. And whereas the Hardin Valley team are guided by the expertise of HVA teacher Tom Smurl, yay, and community coach, Commander Tony Almer. Is he here? He's not present. Oh. Also, team members include Zane Garizno-Mayer. Did I butcher that good? Thank you for being here. Haley Dandera, thank you. Bailey Mounts, thank you. Trey Harvey, not here. Khalil Ortiz, is that right? Caleb Mulder, Otilla Skolnick, not here. And Team 2 members include Aiden Finney, Bratton Bunner, and Adrian Alomar. Thank you, guys. Thank you all for being here. I'm not finished. Whereas the hard work, dedication, and achievement of the HVA Aerohawks over the past year of competition is a tremendous source of pride for the Hardin Valley community and all of Knox County. Therefore, be it resolved, the Knox County Commission hereby honors and commends the Hardin Valley Academy Aerohawks for an outstanding year of aerospace engineering competitions, with both HVA teams finishing in the top team nationally. Be it further resolved that this resolution be presented to the Hardin Valley Academy Aerohawks, and in doing so, wish them continued success in their years of competitions. And be it further resolved that this resolution is to take place as of today. Thank you. Thank you. would like to get a picture with the whole commission, but before we do, I'd like Tim to come forward. I believe he was not only new to Hardin Valley, but new to some of this in the academy also. So please come and speak to us a moment.
Hello, I want to thank the commission for having us out today. It's truly an honor. I'm actually kind of a homecoming. I would have actually attended Hardin Valley as a student if it was open when I was in high school. Yeah, after 20 years in Georgia, I came home and feel really fortunate to have brought something unique and luckier and blessed to have, just happen to have 10 super geniuses that join me and rock the competition. It's beyond any expectations I had. But after I met these kids, I knew we were going to be super competitive. So just a really special year. And just a note, as of this year, we've doubled our group size. And we have three of our students are now captains and running their own team. So that's pretty special.
Well, thank you. We're going to all have a group picture here.
Let's go, team captain!
Thank you all. Thank you for being here. We have no presentations on our agenda tonight. We're now going to move to public forum. Under our rules, those who have signed up to speak on a particular agenda item may speak at this time. We have currently 8 people who have signed up. Each speaker will have 3 minutes to address the commission. And these are the first 3 speakers. If you would come up and be prepared. The first one is Will Bowden. Is Mr. Bowden here? Our rules do say that you need to speak up before the meeting. So I'm going to move on to our second speaker, Keith Britt, and followed by Julie Castu. Please say your name and county of residence, and you have 3 minutes.
Good evening. Keith Britt, 506 Knowlton Drive. What was distributed to you was a side-by-side comparison of the resolution 239904 and what was passed in Ottawa County, Michigan, and then back in June and what was passed by the Legislative Committee in Sumner County, Tennessee on September 11th. That's the one Commissioner Lee was referencing last week. The Ottawa resolution was introduced after the health department had a booth at a gay pride festival where they were educating people about STDs and vaccinations. In case the Ottawa language in that resolution is a bit too subtle, let me quote their county commission vice chair as he introduced the resolution. Quote, I'm asking my colleagues tonight to pass the resolution to protect childhood innocence. Both the Grand Haven Pride Festival and Holland Pride recently celebrated LGBTQ+. Over 50 different flags are flown under the LGBTQ+ flag. Which groups may fall under the plus? Examples include furries, polyamory, bestiality, and pedophiles. Close quote. That resolution was developed by the Ottawa Impact Political Action Committee, who has some pretty severe anti-gay and white nationalist propaganda on their website. Here's a sample. The left has redefined racist to largely apply to conservatives, an oppressor to be a person with white skin, and the oppressed to be a person with darker skin. According to their divisive theory of intersectionality, the worst oppressors possess the characteristics of being white, male, Christian, identifying with the gender assigned at birth, and heterosexual. Close quote. Close quote. Concerning the Sumner County resolution, here's some of the comments from their discussion. Quote, this says we're going to take funding away. We're not going to put more funding towards something. We're going to take money away if you do X, which is reassuring. Close quote. And quote, we need to probably adopt what Missouri has. They had to go through each one of these libraries with a librarian and a lawyer to make sure all those books were pulled out, end quote. So what ties Ottawa, Sumner, and Knox County together? Eric Wider. Who is Eric Wider? In the words of Commissioner Ward, quote, Eric Wider is Phil Fulmer calling the plays, and I am Peyton Manning, close quote. Incidentally, he also served as Commissioner Lee's campaign manager and has received thousands of dollars from various campaign contributions from commissioners. So please don't pass this resolution. It is neither wholesome nor good nor honorable. It will put a national spotlight on this county as unwelcoming to our LGBTQ neighbors, and it will likely repel business investment. Secondly, I am encouraged by the Knox County Republican Chair's recognition that Eric Wider is a parasite and a cancer within that party. I hope that the Republicans of this commission can share his resolve to shed the puppet strings Wider assume he controls you with. Thank you for your time. Godspeed.
Our next speaker, Julie Gastow.
Good evening, Madam Chair. Thank you very much. I think that they wrote my name down wrong. It's Gautreaux.
Before you go on, would you say your name and county of residence,
Julie
please?
Gautreaux. I was explaining my name is not, it was written down wrong. Good evening. Thank you very much for letting me speak. I read the protocols for public comment and note that you're supposed to indicate if you're a Knox County employee. I am a Knox County election commissioner, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak. I'm addressing Commissioner Lee's resolution in opposition to it. I understand that the resolution has been revised from a statement of policy to a statement of principle. I would point out that passing the resolution could still present dangers to community organizations and events, ranging from the health department to the public library system and to schools. Your approval of the resolution would be an endorsement of its real aim, which is not protecting children. All of us, especially we who are parents, are dedicated to protecting our children. I am a former defense attorney. I've worked with Commissioner Lee on cases before, and I can assure you that there is a whole chapter of laws in the Tennessee Code criminalizing the sexual exploitation of minors. School boards, library boards, child care professionals, and especially parents should be allowed to steward our children safely to adulthood without government interference in our good faith decision-making for what is best for children. Everybody wants children to be safe, but that's not what this resolution is about, whatever language it manufactures as a distraction to its actual intent. It is about advancing a culture of suspicion and fear against LGBTQ people, their families, and their communities. And its goal is to erode and harass public institutions that allow LGBTQ people to have a voice. It was mentioned by the previous speaker that a local conservative political strategist acknowledged that he adopted the language of this resolution from a similar one in Michigan. He sent that same template to Sumner County, and one of the commissioners there who voted to endorse it mentioned its power as leverage over their school board, whose policies he disapproved of, and he proposed defunding the entire county-wide school system over the school board's refusal to ban certain books. I understand that this resolution now under consideration has been revised into something with a more symbolic effect. But before you vote, consider what it really symbolizes. The last time I attended a county commission meeting a few months ago, the meeting opened with a devotional in which one of the commissioners expressed real concern about the divisions in our communities across our whole country. And I can't help but think that in co-sponsoring this particular resolution or by endorsing it, you're not really helping to resolve that problem. You're making it worse. So I hope that you will not endorse the resolution, and I appreciate your attention here this evening.
Thank you. Next on the list is Sherry Garrett, followed by Becky Holseth and Dana Holseth. Your name and county of residence, please. You have 3 minutes.
I'm a little vertically challenged. My name is Sherry Garrett, and I live in Knox County. I'm here tonight representing Knox for Liberty in support of the resolution to protect the innocence of children. I thank my Commissioner, Rhonda Lee, for introducing this resolution, and I'm very proud that she is my representative. As it states in this resolution, our children are our greatest treasure. We must do everything we can to protect them, help them grow, and teach them to be productive citizens. It is vastly difficult to do this in society today, with pornographic materials now being found in our public schools and libraries, as well as overly sexualized television shows, movies, and even children's shows lately have overtly sexual overtones. I will confirm that while doing some research this weekend, I found 2 such books in both our middle school and public libraries, easily accessible to children in the children's section. That information will be forwarded to Mayor Jacobs' office as well as Knox County Schools and our school board. This past year, during January, Sumner County, Tennessee recently passed an obscene materials resolution during their January meeting. Sumner County Commission's education chairman brought a resolution that admonished their school board to take corrective action concerning unlawful supplemental materials in our school libraries, citing books that violate TCA Criminal Code 39-17-911. Last week, they passed this same resolution before us tonight unanimously. If you're not aware of Criminal Code TCA 39-17-911, it states in part, it is unlawful for any person to knowingly sell or loan for monetary consideration or otherwise exhibit or make available to a minor any book, pamphlet, magazine, printed matter, however reproduced or sound recording, which contains any matter enumerated in subdivision A1, or that it contains explicit and detailed verbal descriptions or narrative accounts of sexual excitement, sexual conduct, excess violence, or sadomasochistic abuse, and that is harmful to minors. TCA 49-06-1019 is our prohibited concepts law. We are concerned that certain language regarding funding was removed from this resolution, funding that would prevent public taxpayer dollars from being used to fund the very events that may harm children. It makes no sense. How can you say you want to protect children, yet pay for the very thing that may cause them harm? We do not want our tax dollars spent on anything that may harm children. And lastly, I want to remind this commission that in May 2020, this body passed a resolution making Knox County a Second Amendment constitutional county. Commissioners Beeler and Daly brought that resolution and stated at the time it had no teeth and was a statement. While I understand that some of you were not on commission at that time, I believe we have a responsibility to our children by showing them and the public at large that we will do whatever it takes to protect our children. On behalf of Knox for Liberty and its members, I ask you to vote yes on this resolution and include the original language preventing taxpayer dollars from being spent on these activities. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please. Please state your name and county of residence.
Good evening. My name is Becky Hofsteth, resident of Knox County, here to support Commissioner Lee's resolution, which effectively solidifies Knox County's commitment to protect children's innocence. Such a resolution is sadly necessary because of the steady dismantling of children's natural innocence intrinsic to unprecedented exposure to sexualized behavior, content, and gender ideology. In a recent presentation to Anderson County's Board of Commissioners, my husband and I delineated the specific harm to children when a community reneges on its responsibilities, whether it's allowing pornographic and gender-confusing books in our libraries and schools, or the appalling phenomenon of drag queen shows where things too filthy for decent adults to view are done before the very eyes of children. The question before that county board and every other county in America is whether they will allow the normalization of sexual perversion to hold sway, or will they hold a line and declare, not here, not our children. As a recent San Diego transplant, my husband and I are grateful for Tennessee's conservative values. As we said in legislative sessions last February, we were incredulous to watch how easily two cutting-edge bills specifically protecting children passed through the House committee. How vastly different from the days of showing up in droves at San Diego's Board of Supervisors where leftist policies won the day every single time. Once a thriving state, California is now a house on fire. Its governor is considered the leading salesman for U-Haul. And what else would one expect when almost weekly another egregious law passes, undermining families, pushing gender ideology, and using tax dollars to fund abortion and gender transition tourism, to the point tonight, no state is immune from becoming another California. If Tennesseans, county by county, do not take a stance now, if we yield to those who insist on and somehow justify the sexualizing of children, we too will join the ranks of a state rotting from the inside out. Tolerance is not the way out. Exposure of the insidious darkness is required. This resolution acknowledges the darkness and, most importantly, commits to having no part of it. On that February day at the Capitol, I saw afresh the importance of those decision-making seats. They carried out the will of the people, which is abundantly clear. Tennessee is a vanguard in our nation, proactively protecting children, as evidenced by laws that prohibit minors from drag performances and permanent harm incurred by gender transition procedures. Likewise, your seat as Knox County Commissioners really matters. Most of the decisions that you make during your tenure will be forgotten, but this resolution has generational implications, for it draws a line in the sand, declaring, we are unswervingly committed to protecting the innocence of our children and grandchildren. I pray for your discernment and resolve to pass this resolution in its original form for the sake of the children. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Following, our next speaker is Patty Kim and Robert Lee. Sir, if you'd say your name, county of residence, you have 3 minutes to speak.
Thank you. My name is Dana Hofseth. I live in Knox County. I'm very thankful for the resolution that Commissioner Lee has put forward. I suspect, and there are others who are standing before you extolling the virtues of protecting our children and sharing consequences of harm if that's not done. This is a critically important issue, and clearly this resolution recognizes that. My focus is to strongly encourage the adoption of the original version. Those who are opposed will vote against it no matter how it's put forward or what it includes. Those of you who support the idea of protecting children from these ideologies that steal the innocence, to give this resolution real teeth and meaning. What I mean is simply this. I can say that I support my church or some other charitable organization. I can say that I've quit smoking or stopped drinking. I can say that I'm a blood donor. But in the end, my checkbook tells the story of my giving. In the end, my breath will speak the truth about my consumption. In the end, my calendar will reveal the real me and whether I have actually made those donations to the blood bank. Likewise, you may say that you intend to protect children, but in the end, if you are still using staff time and county resources to fund and support organizations, content, and events that are, in all practicality, the antithesis of protecting children's innocence, your spoken intentions are just words. Words without action are merely a facade. Let us not be among those who talk a good game but don't have the fortitude to back it up. Adopt the original version of this resolution, please, and align county resources with the specific words of this positive and helpful resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. Please state your name and county of residence. You have 3 minutes.
Patty King, Knox County. I'd like to thank both Rhonda Lee and Commissioner Daly on supporting this resolution. I work with kids. I'm a teacher. I see what this is doing to kids. Why would we not support a resolution to protect our youngest citizens of this county? These shows, we've seen pictures, we've seen videos of these shows that these kids are going to. The books that are available in the library, they're graphic, sometimes scary. We need to protect our children for this. Yes, I believe in parents' rights, okay? But when it comes to something like this isn't about parents' rights. This is about protecting our young citizens. Sumner County passed a very strong law, stronger than what we're passing right now. Commissioner Lee's first part of this law. They don't see the issues that our commissioners are seeing. I'm asking, I'm begging, I'm praying that you guys will pass this law or this resolution to protect our young kids. Thank you.
Mr. Lee, please state your name and county of residence. You have 3 minutes.
Good evening, commissioners, our elected officials. My name is Robert Lee. I live in Knox County. And I'm in favor of the resolution that Rhonda Lee has brought forth on this commission. You are elected officials. And in order to have this type of thing even come to the forefront of our commission meeting is kind of wondering where our nation is going and our city is going. The elected leaders are supposed to protect the innocent children of our city and our society. Children are a precious gift from God. They are made in the image of God. They are very precious to God. God loves them very much. As adults and elected officials, you are held at a higher standard. You people are held at a higher standard because you're the ones who make the judgment call on the laws that are passed. You will be held to account. We have this privilege and responsibility as adults for discernment between unrighteousness and righteousness is what's done in our city. Oh, I'm running out. For all children, they deserve protection from the adults and all elected officials. Children around us live the full life and abundant life God desires them to live. This cross-dressing is an abomination. You will reap consequences for what happens to your city. So I ask that you all make a critical and a very heartfelt decision before you vote and think about what you're doing to your community. When you make that vote, those who say no to this amendment or this resolution, they need to go ahead and sign out and leave commission. Get out and resign. We don't want this in our community. LGBTQ is an abomination. It states it in the Word of God, and that God tells truth. We don't need this, and I ask that you remove and vote yes, all of you. And if you vote no, go ahead and put it in a resignation letter and just quit your job and be removed and take yourself out of there, because we don't want this in our city. Thank you for your attentiveness on this situation. May the Lord bless you and keep you, and may the Lord protect you and keep you safe every day you wake up. Amen.
Thank you. This concludes public forum. Next agenda item, please.
Approval of minutes of the previous meeting.
Second.
Motion by Daley, second by Jay. Is there any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next item, please.
The next item is consideration of the acceptance of new county roads. A is Creek Bend Lane, B, River House Road, C, Upstream Lane, D, Lazy River Drive. They're all located in Creek Bend Farms, District 6. E is Cherokee Landing Drive, F, Dreamcatcher Drive, G, Tribe Road, H, Standing Arrow Lane, all located in Cherokee Landing, District 9.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion by Daley, second by Jay, I believe. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item, please.
Line item transfers, total amount of $17,418,753.83.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion by Jay, second by Schoonmaker. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Budget amendments, total amount of $15,726,736.48.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve by Jay, second by Schoonmaker. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Notary applications, we have 165.
Do I have a motion to approve?
Second.
Motion to approve by Jay, second by Durrett. Is there any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Spread of record. The Knox County Mayor's reappointment of Kenny Boatman to the Knox County Sheriff's Office Employees Merit System Board of Directors to serve a 3-year term expiring September 30th, 2026. Spread of record, the District Attorney General's appointment of Caitlin Smith to complete the unfulfilled term of Robin Jones on the Knox County Employee Insurance Benefits Committee, which term expires December 31st, 2023.
Thank you. If the commission will allow, I'd like to go ahead and have a recently added resolution, Resolution 4239910 that was added. If you'd read that, please.
This is a resolution selecting Zachary Fullerton to serve as the Knox County Internal Auditor is recommended by the Knox County Audit Committee.
Do I see a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Schoonmaker, second by Frazier. Is there any discussion? I would just like to add that I have gotten to know him in our work together on Retirement and Pensions Board, and he will be a great addition as our internal auditor. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next agenda item.
Resolution R-23-9-111 is reappointing Jonathan Repass, District 2, to the Knox County Board of Zoning Appeals. Term expires September 30th, 2025.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Durrett, second by Frazier. Is there any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Resolution R-23-9-112 is a resolution appointing an individual for District 4 to the Knox County Board of Zoning Appeals. Term expires September 30th, 2025.
Motion to move to next month's agenda.
Second.
We have a motion on the floor to move to next month's agenda by Commissioner Schoonmaker, second by Daley. Is there any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Resolution R-23-9113 is appointing John Elliott, District 6, to the Knox County Board of Zoning Appeals. Term expires September 30th, 2025.
Motion to approve? Motion to approve by Hill, second by Beeler. Is there any discussion on this item? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Resolution R-23-9-114 is reappointing Rebecca Longmire, District 8, to the Knox County Board of Zoning Appeals. Term expires September 30th, 2025.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Jay, second by Frazier. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Resolution R-23-9-403 is approving a contract with Cannon & Cannon Incorporated for professional engineering consultant services for the design of the State Route 131 and Beaver Ridge Road intersection improvements project in the amount of $213,000.
A motion to approve by Frazier, second by Daley. Is there any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Resolution R-23-9-501 is approving 3 memorandums of understanding with Karnes Fire Department, Knox County Rescue, and Seymour Volunteer Fire Department for the provision of fire rescue emergency services.
Second.
Motion to approve by Daley, second by Jay. Discussion. Commissioner Frazier?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I need to recuse myself just to avoid any perceived potential conflict of interest.
Thank you. We have Frazier recusing yourself. Is there any more discussion on this item? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Resolution R-23-9-504 is approving a grant contract with the State of Tennessee, Tennessee Housing Development Agency for $40 million in pass-through funding provided through the U.S. Department of the Treasury Emergency Rental Assistance Program, ERA-2, for the provision of eviction prevention and housing stability services. No local match required.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Frazier, second by Durrett. Thank you. Discussion item. Commissioner Schoonmaker.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Is Ian Christie with Community Development here, or the big dog is here?
Jenny Holden, 400 West Main Street.
Director Holden, I see that this contract takes effect on November 1st of this year and goes through December 31st of '25. Is the $40 million an equal monthly installments, or how actually is it dispersed to Knox County?
So that's actually going to be a reimbursement grant, and it does not have to be an even, whatever we spend, we can turn around and get that reimbursed right away from the state.
Okay, and if we only use 20 million of the 40 million, we just get credited for the 20 million then?
Yes, we just don't take the 20 million, that we only ask for reimbursement for what we've actually expended.
Okay, and then is there extensive paperwork involved with the federal government to get reimbursed for these funds?
So since these are state pass-through funds, so yes, if it was directly coming to us from the federal government, absolutely, the paperwork is pretty robust, but these are state pass-through funds, so they will actually be doing the reporting to the federal government, and then we'll be doing our reporting just up to the state.
And when you submit claims, what do you think is the turnaround time for refunds or, say, payment of the contract?
On this one in particular, so this is the first time that we've actually got
funds direct from THDA as pass-through funds. With our other state pass-through grants, they're actually pretty fast, usually less than 30 days.
Okay. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Seeing no other lights? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Sorry.
Resolution R-23-9-901 is approving a franchise agreement with Comcast of the South for a period of 10 years.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Beeler, second by Jay. Is there any discussion on this item? Commissioner Durrett.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Due to my current employment with Comcast, I would like to recuse myself from this vote.
Thank you. Durrett recuses herself. Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Resolution R-23-9-903 is requesting the Knox County Planning Commission to review and recommend amendments to the Knox County zoning ordinance, Section 4.92, Standards for Wireless Communication Facilities, WCF.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve by Frazier, second by Jay. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Resolution R-23-9-904 is expressing the Commission's commitment to protecting the innocence of children.
Do we have a motion to approve? Do we have a motion to approve? Is your light on?
Yes, it is. I pressed the,
Oh, all right. Commissioner Lee, I'm sorry, your light is not showing.
I pressed the button.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
You still have the pressure.
Okay.
Oh,
told me
thank
earlier
you,
not to.
thank you.
Okay.
Commissioner Lee.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have a few little things I would like to say.
Before you
Okay.
do,
I want-
we need a motion and a
Okay.
second on the floor.
I want to make a motion to approve.
All right, we have a motion by Lee. Is there a second? Second by Daley. Is there any discussion on this item? I'll turn it over to Commissioner Lee.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have a few things I wanted to say about this resolution. I'm a mother to 6 children, 12 grandchildren. I am a constitutional conservative Christian. This motion was passed last week by Sumner County. Unanimously, 22 commissioners approved this. I would like to see our resolution reflect Sumner County's and adopt the language of Sumner County's resolution. I received an email, and I've also sent a certified copy of that resolution that was approved by Sumner County to all the commissioners. I received an email shortly before this meeting from a commissioner down there that led this in Sumner County. And I'd like to read this to you, some of the background to why this was passed. And it was protecting our children. Our culture and community standards are at a crossroads. More and more, we are hearing from around the country about graphic and sexually explicit materials that violate state laws being available to minors in school libraries. Parents are being reprimanded, called out of order, and even forcibly removed from school board meetings for reading these materials aloud during meetings. These materials are so vile, degenerative, and disgusting that parents are censored when reading them aloud
in the presence of other adults. If this is the case, why would anyone think that having them in schools for minor-aged children is okay, using taxpayer dollars to subsidize it? In his plea to the school board, Mr. Lacey laments that a book called The Bluest Eye plants a seed for 14 to 18-year-olds and how they can seduce little girls. They can get mints, they can get money and ice cream, and little girls will allow you to play between their legs. Due to these recent revelations, sorry. Due to the recent revelations and considering we are asked to pass a resolution declaring September Suicide Prevention and Mental Health Awareness Month, I thought it was appropriate to bring this resolution to protect the children that the Knox County Commission is also bringing forward, acknowledging the dangers of the exposure and the normalization of sexualized behaviors that would reduce children's inhibitions to protect themselves from the sexual advances of others, such as the example given by Mr. Lacey. As another school board member recently shared with me, books transfer the reader to that place and time, so that in respect we are transporting members to actively watch physical acts of sexual abuse, sexual assault, and sexual acts. And I am asking this commission to adopt the resolution that was passed by Sumner County and adding the language to this resolution that be it further resolved, no county or resources shall be allocated to activities, programs, events, content, or institutions which support, normalize, or encourage the sexualization of children and youth. And be it further resolved that this resolution applies to the extent that it does not conflict with Tennessee law. I'm asking this commission to approve this resolution. Thank you.
Point of clarification, Commissioner Lee, the resolution that's currently on the table is the one that was printed in our agenda.
It is.
And you're asking to have that
As part of the resolution.
added to the resolution?
Yes.
All right. I believe that would require a substitute motion? No? It's not just
an amendment.
An amendment to your motion, then, all right.
Amendment to my motion.
All right, thank you. Do we have any other discussion? Commissioner Beeler, I'm sorry.
Just a point of order, is the second okay with the amendment to the resolution as stated?
Thank you. Commissioner Daley indicates yes, he is. Thank you. Commissioner Schoonmaker.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I hope you'll allow me a little latitude here for just a minute. This past week, I feel like my reputation as a Knox County Commissioner was called into question by a small group of individuals that actually knew the truth but chose to ignore it. So just to clarify everything, Commissioner Lee, was I involved with you in writing this ordinance?
No, I have not had any communication with you.
Okay. Was I involved with you when you made your changes prior to the work session agenda?
No, you were not.
Okay. Mr. Law Director, did I contact you to request changes in this ordinance?
You did not.
Did I ask you to change any of the drafting or the revision of the newer ordinance?
You did not.
Thank you. Well, I just wanted to clarify that because I've been accused this past week of being the instigator of rewriting this resolution when I had absolutely no responsibility or effort in it. And so I just wanted to clear the air. And I'm really surprised at certain individuals in our community that would stoop that low to attack me that way. Thank you, Madam Chair.
And I regret that that's occurred.
And then only other one question I have or comment would be, so if it's good enough for Michigan, then it's good enough for Tennessee and it's good enough for Knox County then? Is that where we're going with this? Since we didn't write this resolution, it came from out of state, is my understanding. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so an out-of-state resolution is dictating what's going on in Knox County, Tennessee.
Can I address that, Madam Chair?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, please do.
Well, it's not out of state. It's nothing uncommon for any governmental body to look across the country for new laws and new things that are going. So it is not that it's dictating. I think that it's appropriate that we adopt it. And we spend millions of dollars as a county to look for resources on things that we bring before this body all the time.
Are you finished? Thank you. Commissioner Durrett?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I am hesitant to vote against this resolution because I feel if I vote no, my actions would be spun into something, or I feel that me voting no would be spun into something making me out to be some kind of monster that's against protecting children and their innocence, which cannot be further from the truth. I have 2 children and do everything in my power to protect them from things that could potentially harm them. But what I consider harmful to my children may not be considered harmful to someone else, and vice versa. But I cannot vote in support of this resolution for several reasons. First, this resolution reminds me of what my husband and I call freedom unless. Freedom unless means we are in support of everyone having their freedoms to live their lives however they see fit, unless it goes against a particular belief system. Freedom unless you aren't with us. Freedom unless you like something we don't. Freedom unless we don't approve. 2020 was a great example of freedom unless. Parents didn't want government to make their children wear masks or the Board of Health to tell them where they could or could not go. I sat on commission at that time, and people were down here telling us that they did not want government overreach. In my opinion, this is exactly a case of government overreach. If this resolution passes, where does it stop? Do we start making house visits to 60,000 plus children in our districts to make sure their parents aren't allowing certain shows, movies, or video games? Do we go after Monday Night Football because of the unnecessary skin shown by cheerleaders? Do we not allow children at restaurants where servers wear uniforms promoting their body figures? Are these things okay and other things aren't? Freedom unless. Secondly, this resolution is incredibly broad. For example, it includes the word activities but has no clarification of which activities would violate the, quote, innocence of children. Since it was likened to Nancy Reagan's war on drugs at our work session last week, I will liken it to a, quote, gateway drug. This resolution, if passed, could be used as a gateway to prohibit the freedoms of various groups of people with different beliefs. I may think something is appropriate while someone else does not. Freedom unless. Third, we should continue to support organizations like the Community Coalition Against Human Trafficking, the Helen Ross McNabb Center's Sexual Assault Center, the Family Justice Center, court-appointed special advocates, child help, and countless others that are already in the community working to fight the sexualization of children. But instead, we are here wasting time on a politically charged resolution that targets a specific group of people who may not be viewed in a positive light by others who live their lives differently. Freedom unless. Finally, being a public servant means we act in the public's interest, not our own. We are elected to our seats to represent all residents of our districts, not just the ones who agree with our personal beliefs. It should not be freedom unless. It should simply be freedom. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. I apologize. I don't know if Commissioner Fraser, all right, Commissioner Fraser?
No, it's me. My light doesn't work, so I picked the other two.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Fraser. Commissioner Jay?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I asked the resolution sponsor last week, what specific problem occurring in Knox County is this resolution solving for the people of Knox County? And an answer could not be given to us. If we could legislate all the evil out of the world, we would already have done it. Yet murder, rape, child abuse, and all the ills of our community would just simply go away, but we know that legislating crime away is absolutely not possible. After reading and researching this resolution in detail, I'll say again, I believe it is too vague and it will enable broad interpretation and potential manipulation. I pointed out last week where the resolution came from and what was its origin. And since that time, it has been further researched and validated by members of our media community. In just a few other counties, a resolution almost exactly like this is being used as a first step to ban reading materials, defund libraries, pull funding from community institutions, and restrict health departments for providing potentially life-saving information to its citizens. At the very least, this resolution aims to further divide this commission and produce disingenuous political ammunition for future campaigns. And I think that is a dangerous and, quite frankly, a terrible use of our time and our efforts. Please, to my colleagues, do not be scared into supporting something like this and supporting this resolution just because you're worried about how someone might use it against you at some point in the future. I am confident that there isn't anyone on this stage that wouldn't do all they can to help protect a child. And I know this. There would not be a single commissioner here that would not do absolutely anything they could to protect children. But this resolution does not do anything. I believe that we should be a legislative body that works hard to produce meaningful results for our constituents. As such, I took a minute to reach out to 3 people who are experts in how to protect children in our community, and I asked them how we could help as the commission. I asked them what specific initiatives the Knox County Commission could tangibly do to support their efforts and help vulnerable children in Knox County. First, I spoke with Judge Tim Irwin, someone you all know well and I hope really respect as much as I do. He leads our juvenile justice efforts, and he told me if we really want to help him protect children, then this commission could support after-school care programs, could bolster the resources needed to retain their juvenile court staff, help promote the Safe Baby Court, which is an amazing tool that we have, and partner with him to advocate for more support for the Department of Children's Services because they're out of beds and facilities to take care of children in our foster care system, some of the most vulnerable. I then reached out to former State Representative Ebony Smith, who now leads Child Help, as mentioned, a great organization helping combat child abuse and gather forensic data to prosecute abusers. He explained to me that victims of child abuse often become offenders themselves. So if we want to help break the cycle of abuse and protect children of the future, then we could continue the now temporary funding that has allowed him to hire more counselors focusing on long-term managed counseling and care. Mr. Smith told me that direct, engaged mental health support of abused children is in the most crucial few years after a case of abuse is the absolute best investment we can make to heal a broken community. And then finally, last night I met with Commissioner Margie Quinn, who leads the Tennessee Department of Children's Services. And we had an in-depth conversation about protecting children, and she said one of the most important organizations combating child and sexual trafficking right here in Knoxville, as mentioned by my colleague, is the Community Coalition Against Human Trafficking. And this commission could find ways to partner with them to protect children who are in unspeakable conditions and bring awareness to the horrendous and growing trafficking problem. These 3 relationships are just the tip of the iceberg. We have so many more organizations, and it is simply meant to illustrate that if this commission wants to help protect the innocence of children, then we have real, tangible, and practical options to choose from. And we can take real action to make this community a better and safe place for all children. Those are things that I'm going to work on, and those are the things that I'm going to bring to this commission. But with that, I encourage my fellow commissioners to join me in those efforts and not give any more consideration to this resolution, which could have far-reaching and possibly damaging future implications. Madam Chair, with that, I wish to make a substitute motion to table this resolution to a time indefinite. Thank you.
Thank you. We have a motion on the floor to table this resolution.
Second.
We have a second by Commissioner Durrett. Do we have any discussion on this substitute motion. Commissioner Beeler?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I guess we're getting ready to vote on something, so I just wanted to make a few comments before I do that.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate all my colleagues' comments. I was asked today by someone how I intended to vote on this resolution. My answer was, my intent is that I will support what we voted on last week for this reason. I agree with the premise of it. I agree with the premise of it so strongly that it would be difficult to vote against it, because I absolutely wholeheartedly believe in protecting the innocence of children against sexualization, against being exposed to certain things before it's age appropriate. I absolutely support that. I'm going to take a wild guess and say that I believe 11 of the people on this body support that. But taking this to the level that Sumner County took it, which, by the way, I don't really care what Sumner County does. Sumner County's not Knox County. It's not even in East Tennessee. What scares me is I think there are many people involved in this who have the best intentions. But I think if you trace this back far enough, you will find some ill-advised courses of action, perhaps some misguided intentions. I believe in the Constitution and the First Amendment. I believe in the freedom of speech, assembly, and religion. I believe in it really, really strongly. And what bothers me is I'm being asked as an elected member of a legislative body to vote to defund, to give Knox County, dictate to Knox County to defund something, and I don't know what I'm defunding. There's no specificity as to what I'm voting to constrain Knox County to defund. I'm supposed to cast a vote to defund something that somebody else somewhere down the road is going to tell me what I defunded. I don't think that's good governing. I don't think that's what I'm sitting in the seat to do. Now, I agree with Commissioner Jay. Substantive steps that we can take, I'll be absolutely in support of those to specifically protect children against the kinds of things that he mentioned, abuse, rape, all of these different things. But to pass something that could be weaponized to force Knox County to defund something, and I don't even know what yet, whatever in someone's opinion doesn't protect the innocence of children, what if that's something that someone deems sexual today, and what if it's C.S. Lewis next year? What if at some point you have people that don't like what Darwin wrote, but then a few years down the road, you got somebody that doesn't like what some Christian writer wrote. We're going to take that out of libraries. I think this is a dangerous path to go down in this country. And so while I wholeheartedly support the premise behind this, I can't support it in the form as presented in this motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Oster?
Thank you, Madam Chair. This has been probably a stressful week for a lot of commissioners with this resolution, not in the form that we don't support protecting kids, but I have to reiterate what Commissioner Beeler said. I don't know what we're doing. There's not a specific ask. When I ran for commission, I told my constituents I should be able to back up a vote and be able to explain it. I can't really explain this of something that we're doing. We're just protecting kids, which I have 3 grown sons and 2 grandchildren, and I would walk to the ends of the earth like anybody would to protect them, but I don't know in this resolution what that's doing. I talk to my sons about it. Sometimes I bounce ideas off of them, and I've really thought about this a lot, and it's really bothered me because I have felt like this has definitely been a politicized situation at this point. And I think we can all agree since 2020, the polarization of politics is kind of out of control at this point. You know, somebody actually said this week to me that why did Commissioner Schoonmaker or Commissioner Jay ask the questions last week, because it was like we shouldn't have asked questions. And we, on the other hand, get in trouble when we pass something on consent, we don't ask questions. We get emails because everybody gets mad because we didn't discuss it. So that kind of, as a representative, kind of puts you in a rock and a hard place, because you're trying to do the work of your district. And, you know, I represent 55 to 60,000 people with 55 to 60,000 different opinions, views, religions, social standings, everything. And I would just like this resolution to have something. And I guess this is a great time to ask the maker of the resolution, what's kind of the end goal of this resolution? Because the emails that I've received have been, please vote for this because we don't need our kids going to drag shows and reading books that we don't agree with. Is that the intent that this resolution is going for?
No, it's not. This resolution is about spending taxpayer dollars to subsidize those things.
Okay, so that kind of gets you to where
You can do whatever you want with your own, in your home, in your household, but the county should not use taxpayer money to subsidize it. That's all it's about.
Are there particular areas that we're spending the money that it could have been in that resolution?
Any activities that would be defined by state law. Whatever our laws hold is decent or indecent. That's defined by Tennessee state law.
Okay.
So if there's anything that's outside of that, that is what this resolution would cover.
Okay.
If you want an example, that would be at a drag show where they're doing sexually explicit acts, that the county should not subsidize that.
Okay, are we subsidizing that? I'm asking the question because
if a drag show has that at Tennessee Theater, we do give money to Tennessee Theater.
not for the drag show, which kind of gets into, now we start really splitting hairs. And that's where my concern is. I'm just going to read something because my thoughts have kind of been all over the place with this. Because I don't, like Commissioner Durrett said, I don't want to come across that I don't want to protect kids. Anybody that knows me knows that, you know, I would stand in the line of a bullet for my kids and my grandchildren, hands down. But, you know, we get into a real slippery slope when we start telling parents how to parent. That's kind of their responsibility. And as a parent and a grandparent, you know, I wouldn't let Savannah read certain things and do certain things and go certain places because that's our belief system. And that's our responsibility as parents and grandparents to Savannah. And I think that's where I'm getting really kind of confused because I am a Republican who is conservative and who also believes in smaller government. And we get to a real situation when the government starts overreaching and telling parents what they can and can't do with their kids.
That's not what this resolution does.
But I don't know what it does. That's my point. So I'm gonna, because we could probably go on all night with it, but I am going to read today what I really felt was important to say. This was written in a speech that he did, probably one of my favorite presidents and probably a lot of the Republicans' favorite president, Ronald Reagan. Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it to our children in the bloodstream. It must be fought for, protected, and handed on to them to do the same. Or one day we will spend our sunset years telling our children and our children's children what it was like in the United States where men were free. And I don't want to ever have to explain to Savannah what it used to be like to have freedom. And I am going to piggyback off Commissioner Durrett when she said, and there are people out in this audience right now that I stood shoulder to shoulder with in 2020. If you wanted to wear a mask, you wear a mask. You just can't tell me I'm going to do it. If I would have had my kids in public school, they're all grown, I probably would have pulled them out. Because I believe that that is a parent's responsibility and a parent's right, and not to have the government telling them what they can and can't do. Does that mean that I want perverse sexual activity? No. But we cannot legislate as a Knox County Commission morality or parenting.
Commissioner Lundy?
Thank you for that. I want to say I appreciate everyone's words, including the speakers tonight and my fellow commissioners. I'm not going to say the same thing that everyone else said up here, the press, Commissioner Dorick, Commissioner Jay, Commissioner Beatler, Commissioner Oster. I agree with your words. I just feel convicted in this moment to remind people that we were all created in God's image. All. That's the LGBTQ community. That's the Black community, the brown community, all communities. So while you want to stand up and walk out, that's fine, because the Great Commission said, love your neighbor as yourself. That's what it said. First it said, love your God with all your heart, your mind, and your soul. That's Bible. The second part, love your neighbor as yourself. We only have this freaking conversation because we let hate root up in our hearts, and I'm about tired of it. I'm complete. Thank you.
Thank you. Do I see any other lights? I would like to comment on this also before we move to vote. I strongly echo Commissioner Beeler's words and his thoughts. We have in place a law in the state of Tennessee that we currently follow or must follow in regard to lewd and indecent behavior and what is and what is not allowed for children. That is already in place. I'm strongly feeling like the intent of this is to an attempt to protect our young people by this very broad statement that is subject to much interpretation and much vagueness in the way that it is worded, because we've probably got as many opinions as we do commissioners up here as far as what might be considered contributing to sexualization of our children and monies that we fund programs with. I mean, and it goes to another comment that was made, what you might feel okay, I might not feel okay with. I think we would be much better served by identifying each commissioner when appropriations come before us. If there is a situation where you feel like an amount of money is going to a program or anything in this county that supports that type of behavior, then that is when it is appropriate to bring the subject of Knox County taxpayer money to the table for us to make a decision about whether to include or not include in appropriations. I was nervous about the resolution to begin with, since your amendment, I really struggle with moving forward in its current motion, in its current form, and do think there might be some wisdom, at least at this point in time, in tabling this motion and bringing it back in a form that we can all feel certain will not infringe on the way each of us might feel or opinions each of us might have. Again, it has nothing to do with our opinion about sexualization of children. Again, that, at least to everyone on this commission, that's, I hate to be so shallow, it's a no-brainer. Of course, we are not going to do anything that is going to support that. If we are in fact doing that, then I would like that particular area to be brought to us as a commission to be able to discuss and make decisions on and move forward on. So, all right, seeing no other lights to review, we have a proper amended motion on the floor by Lee. We also have a proper substitute motion brought after the amended motion by Commissioner Jay. Seeing no other lights or no other discussion, I'd like to proceed with a roll call vote then on the substitute motion to table the amendment, the amended amendment that's presented by Commissioner Lee. And if we could start that in District 1, please.
Commissioner Lundy,
Aye.
Commissioner Darrett,
Aye.
Commissioner Oster,
Aye.
Commissioner Ward is absent, Commissioner Schoonmaker, Commissioner Hill,
Aye.
Commissioner Lee,
No.
Commissioner Beeler, Commissioner Daly,
Aye.
Commissioner Jay,
Aye.
Commissioner Frazier.
Aye.
9 ayes, 1 no.
The substitute motion passes by a count of 9 for and 1 against. Commissioners, we have, I believe, well, we have 3 more non-consent items, and we also have 2 signed up for public forum. Is the, what is the will of the board to adjourn and take a 15-minute break and go into zoning, or do you want to push forward and move into zoning immediately? Commissioner Beeler?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I might suggest that we push through and then perhaps start zoning after a break.
All
Would that
right,
be-
is that agreeable? All right. Next agenda item, please.
It's Resolution R-23-9-905, approving an amendment to the Knox County Sheriff's Office Employees Merit System Rules and Regulations to allow Sheriff's Office personnel to run for the elective office of sheriff or any other elected office without taking a leave of absence.
All right. Do I see a motion?
Second.
Motion by Daly, second by Oster. Is there any discussion? All those in favor? Oh, I apologize. Commissioner Schoonmaker.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just to clarify, what we're doing with this resolution, how does that correspond with the ordinance on first reading? And I guess yes.
They're 2 sides of the same coin. We have this rule in the merit system rules, and we have this in the ordinance. So to effect what is being attempted here, you have to amend them both.
Great, thank you. I wanted to have that for the record. The other question is, are we then also adopting what Tennessee Code, Title 8, Chapter 8, Part 4 is as part of the amendment then? Okay.
Do you have that? Nobody's asked me that question, so I'm not
Well,
sure what that part is.
Because there's several documents, some created by County Technical Assistance Service regarding public employee political activity, but the Tennessee Code that caught my attention was, it says, any person violating this section shall be dismissed from service by the sheriff. So if somebody gets caught as an employee of the sheriff's department during work hours campaigning, then they can be dismissed from their job. Is that going to be part of it?
Yeah, and that's part of the rule, as I understand it as well. They still can't do it while they're on the job. They can't wear the uniform. It's an after-hours kind of thing.
But they do understand that they can lose employment if they do that.
That they should all know that now in the course of the public hearing, and I'm sure that they will be instructed about that by the Sheriff's Department as well.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments, questions? We have a proper on the motion on the floor by Daly, seconded by Oster. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next item.
Resolution R-23-9-906 is approving an amendment to the Knox County Sheriff's Office Employees Merit System Rules and Regulations to require eligible corrections and patrol officers to have a valid driver's license.
Do we have a motion?
Second.
Motion by Daly, second by Beeler. Is there any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Ordinance O-23-9-101 is amending Knox County Code, Chapter 42, Article 2, Division 2, Section 42-64, Political Activities Restricted, to clarify that the Sheriff's Office personnel may become a candidate for elective office in order to comply with changes to the Hatch Act. This amends Ordinance O-90-9-111, adopted September 10th, 1990, and Ordinance O-22-6-103, adopted July 25th, 2022. This is on first reading.
Do we have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve by Oster, second by Durrett. Is there any conversation on this? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you for that correction, Mr. Moyers. Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Durrett?
Aye.
Commissioner Oster?
Aye.
Commissioner Ward is out. Commissioner Schoonmaker? Commissioner Hill?
Aye.
Commissioner Lee?
Aye.
Commissioner Beeler?
Aye.
Commissioner Daly?
Aye.
Commissioner Jay?
Aye.
Commissioner Frazier? Commissioner Lundy?
Aye.
10 ayes.
All right, that passes 10-0. We have no ordinances on second reading. On public forum, we have two people signed up, Patty King and Spencer Proctor. I'm asking the two people that have signed up, are they here? Ma'am, you...
Madam Chair, point of order, before we move
Should-
forward, did we do 910, the audit?
Yes, we did.
Okay, sorry, I was,
That's all right. I'm addressing this to the two people that have signed up, if they are here. Since these are zoning items, you are more than welcome to speak now. You want to wait to zoning? All right, all right. Seeing that, then, we have no public forum. Is there any other business? All right, I'm going to adjourn this meeting until 7:05, at which time we will start zoning. I call to order this zoning meeting of the Knox County Commission for Monday, September 25th. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Lundy.
Here.
Commissioner Durrett.
Here.
Commissioner Oster.
Here.
Commissioner Ward is out. Commissioner Schoonmaker.
Here.
Commissioner Hill.
Here.
Commissioner Lee. Commissioner Beeler.
Here.
Commissioner Daly.
Here.
Commissioner Jay.
Here.
Commissioner Frazier.
Present.
9 right now.
We do have 9 present. We have a quorum. As we begin this meeting, I'm going to turn it over to Director Moyers to instruct those that are going to testify.
All right, if you're here to speak to this commission about any item on the agenda, if you're here to be, you're here as an applicant or you're here to oppose an item on this agenda, please stand and raise your right hand. You intend to speak to this commission tonight, stand and raise your right hand. All right, do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're going to give tonight be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the true self you got? All right, and please be reminded that the commission has passed an ordinance stating that anyone who lies or misrepresents a matter under oath to commission is guilty of a civil offense and can be fined up to $500.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, would you read the first agenda item?
It's item number 53, which is 7-G-23-RZ, request of Timothy Neal for rezoning from PR Plan Residential to CA General Business located at 0 Asheville Highway, parcel ID 061-07104, part of, in the 8th Commission District.
Thank you. Is the applicant present? Please state your name and
Yeah, Ben Mullins, 550 West Main Street, here for Mr. Neal.
thank you. Is there any opposition that wishes to speak? Seeing none, Director Brooks, would you please read the recommendation of planning?
Planning Commission recommends that County Commission approve the CA General Business Zone for the portion of the parcel requested because it is consistent with the sector plan and would result in more consistent zoning for the subject property by a vote of 13-0.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the commission about this item? Mr. Mullins, would you like to speak to the item?
Just briefly, I appreciate staff's recommendation. This is a split zone, part of it's zoned commercial, part of it's zoned PR at 12 units an acre. We're seeking to expand the commercial zoning to the north. It's still a good boundary and buffer from the residential neighbors to the east. This will just allow more intentional development there on the Asheville Highway, and they don't have any specific plans, but this would allow them to address issues with access and stormwater in a more intentional way.
Thank you. Commissioners, are there any questions or comments? Commissioner Frazier?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just like to add, I had a good conversation with Mr. Mullins about future potential use, just making sure that any businesses that go into this location will be community-friendly, and they will keep that in mind.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no other lights, I'll turn it over to the District Commissioner, Commissioner Beeler.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I appreciate the comments, Commissioner Frazier. I, too, appreciate you, Mr. Mullins, being willing to meet with me despite being somewhat indisposed, and explaining this one. And I have met with the residents there in Neal's Landing several times about their water issues. I think it's well known that the creek behind some of those residents' house does flood. So I will look to Mr. Snowden and just to ensure that whatever goes on this does not exacerbate that in any way whatsoever. So with that being said, since this is part of this parcel is already CA, my motion is that we approve the rezoning from PR to CA as recommended by the Planning Commission.
Second.
We have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Beeler, second by Commissioner Frazier. Seeing no other lights, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Mullins. Next item.
Number 54 is 8-A-23SP. It's the request of Robert Edward Watson for Northeast County Sector Plan Amendment from AG Agricultural to RR Rural Residential. Properties located at 7519 Washington Pike, parcel ID 031PA001 in the 8th Commission District.
Thank you. Are you the applicant?
Yes, Robert Watson.
Thank you. Would you please give us your name and address?
Robert Edward Watson, 7519 Washington Pike. It's in Corrington, Tennessee, 37721.
Thank you, Mr. Watson. Is there any opposition to this item? Seeing none, Director Brooks, your recommendation?
Planning Commission recommends that County Commission approve the sector plan amendment to RR Rural Residential because it is consistent with the development in the area by a vote of 13-0 consent.
Commissioners, do you have any comments on this item? Seeing no lights, Commissioner Beeler?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Watson, I'm assuming you just want to build a couple of houses on this, or?
I've got a trailer grandfathered in on one side on my half, and then the other half I wish to sell to boost my Social Security retirement here.
I see, I understand. And this is a small piece. This is all a residential stretch of Washington Pike. It's single-family homes on 1 to 2 acre lots. There's actually a subdivision across the street. We recently actually changed the sector plan, I believe, for Mr. Chabon, did we not, Mr. Snowden? He's built a couple of really nice houses out there, so I'm okay with this. I'll move that we approve the sector plan amendment from agricultural to rural residential as per the Planning Commission's recommendation.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion on the floor by Beeler, second by Frazier. Seeing no other lights, all those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Next item.
Item number 55, 8-A-23-RZ is also a request of Robert Edward Watson. It's for rezoning from A agricultural to PR plan residential up to 2 dwelling units per acre. And the property description is the same as the previous item.
I need your name and address again for the record, sir.
Okay, Robert Edward Watson, 7519 Washington Pike, Corrington, Tennessee, 37721.
Thank you. Is there any opposition present for this item? Seeing none, Director Brooks?
Planning Commission recommends that County Commission approve the PR plan residential zone up to 1.5 dwelling units per acre because it's consistent with the surrounding area by a vote of 13-0 consent.
Thank you. Would you like to speak to your item, sir?
I was just going to split it in half. It's 0.679 acres on one side, 0.691 on the other.
All right, thank you. Are there any comments or questions? Seeing no lights, Commissioner Beeler?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move that we approve this rezoning from agricultural to planned residential up to 2 dwelling units per acre as per the Planning Commission recommendation.
1 point.
I'm sorry, 1.5. You're right. 1.5 dwelling units per acre. Thank you.
Second. All right, thank you. We have a motion on the floor by Beeler, second by Schoonmaker. Frazier?
Give it to Commissioner Frazier.
All right, Commissioner Frazier?
She's got a good streak running.
Seeing no lights, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, sir. Thank you for coming. Next item.
Item number 56, 8-B-23-RZ, request of Max G. Morton for rezoning from A agricultural to RA low-density residential located at 8109 Collier Road, parcel ID 056093 in the 7th Commission District.
Hi, you are the applicant?
No, my name is Josh Morton, representing Max Morton.
Thank you. Your name and your address, please.
Joshua Morton, 161 Country Walk Drive, Powell, Tennessee.
And what was the last name again?
Morton, M-O-R-T-O-N.
Morton. Thank you, Mr. Morton. Is there any opposition to this item? Seeing none, Director Brooks?
Planning Commission recommends that County Commission approve the RA low-density residential zone because it's consistent with the sector plan and consistent with the surrounding development by a vote of 13-0 consent.
Thank you. Mr. Morton, do you wish to speak to this project?
If we have any questions, I can answer, but no, ma'am.
All right. Are there any lights, questions, comments? Commissioner Frazier?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Can you just tell us a little bit about your intentions with the property, please,
Yeah,
sir?
of course. Yeah, this is my father's property. It's a rectangle size, roughly 2 acres. We're hoping to cut it up. One half of it has a house on it that my sister will live in, and we hope to build a couple on the other half for a home for me to get started. You're welcome.
All right. Seeing no other lights, Commissioner Lee?
Okay. Thank you, Madam Chair. I would make a motion to approve the low-density residential.
Second.
We have a motion on the floor by Lee, second by Frazier. Seeing no lights, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Next item, please.
Item number 57, 8-F-23-RZ, request of CMH Homes Incorporated for rezoning from A agricultural to PR Plan residential up to 5 dwelling units per acre. Properties located at 2120 and 2116 Tipton Station Road, parcel ID 148, 10804, and 10806 in the 9th Commission District.
Thank you. Mr. Mullins, your name and address, please.
Ben Mullins, 550 West Main Street, here for the applicant CMH Homes.
Thank you, Mr. Mullins. Is there any opposition? All right, I see 2 people that wish to speak, and you both have been sworn in, is that correct? All right. The applicant, thank you. The applicant will have 5 minutes to address commission, then the opposition will also have 5 minutes, and the applicant can respond for a few minutes afterwards. Go ahead, Mr. Mullins.
Thank you. This is a rezoning request for what we asked for at the Planning Commission stage, and what the planning staff and Planning Commission recommended was 5 dwelling units an acre. I've spoken with most of you, and I hope most of you caught me when I wasn't on pain medicines when I did speak with you. But we are now asking to reduce our application to 3.7 dwelling units an acre because between the Planning Commission meeting and now we've been able to put together a site plan that is going to be heard pending the results of this rezoning by Planning Commission in October. And so we're looking to reduce our request to 3.7 units an acre. We've spent a great deal of time speaking with the neighborhood, both a larger neighborhood meeting in August that I was unable to attend, but representatives of Clayton Homes and Commissioner Daley was able to attend. And the 4 neighbors that are to the south of this property that are most directly affected because they have an easement that runs through this property, and that easement will remain throughout the development of this property. And we've been working with them regarding their concerns and how we can protect their easement rights both during construction and after the subdivision has been built out. This is in the planned growth area. It is our next door neighbor to the east is South Doyle High School. Bonnie Cade Elementary is 100 yards or so to the west. It's already, the sector plan is in place for low-density residential, which in the county means anywhere between 1 and 5 dwelling units an acre. 3.7 is right in the middle of that range. And in fact, if you look at the 6 closest planned residential zonings around this property, you're going to see a range of 5 dwelling units an acre. On the other side of South Doyle, a couple are 4 dwelling units an acre across the street, and then a couple that are 3 dwelling units an acre a little further south and a little further west. And you average those together, that's 3.8 dwelling units an acre. So 3.7 is right in line with what's developed there. It's accessed by Tipton Station Road, which is a major collector street. It has 20 feet of pavement and a 40 feet right-of-way. There is a sidewalk that runs on the south side of Tipton Station. It runs just to the property right before Bonnie Cade. I know I had a conversation with Commissioner Frazier about the sidewalk, and it looks like that sidewalk ends right before Bonnie Cade Elementary. We are talking to the school system. We'll have internal sidewalks. We're talking to the school system about locating a sidewalk or a path from our property directly to South Doyle, right next to it as well. The exact location of that, I don't think we've worked out yet. Anywhere in the county during peak hours, school hours, you're going to have bad traffic, and this is no exception. Traffic does back up there during school hours. It backs up, in West Knoxville where I drop my kids off at school. But I did reach out to Commissioner Snowden, or Director Snowden, about the level of service. And it was estimated at 5 units an acre that we'd be putting about 1,000 additional vehicles on the road. And it was Director Snowden's opinion that Tipton Station could manage that additional traffic. Reducing that down to 3.7 is going to be less than that. I don't know what exactly those numbers are. But that's something that the road can manage, and I think there's some people that are going to speak that would encourage that there may be some infrastructure projects in that area. But when we're looking at the type of density for this project, this is right in line with what the sector plan and the growth policy plan allow. We are going to continue to work with the neighbors with the site plan as it comes through about what to do with the easement. I don't think we've got all the details worked out on that, but we are trying to be very intentional with our conversations with them and trying to be a really good neighbor. It makes sense. You have a piece of property here. It's kind of an island of agricultural zoning around PR zones right next to a high school. It's going to get developed at some point. And I think, we have a local, company that's been local here for years that has people invested in the community, and the density makes sense for this location, and we'd ask that you follow Planning Commission's recommendation and vote to approve. Happy to answer any questions. Also have some representatives from Clayton that can answer any questions as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I will get your recommendation in a moment, Director Brooks, but I'd like opposition to come forward and speak. If you state your name and address, please, and you have 5 minutes to address the commission.
Patty King, I live on Tipton Station in Knoxville, 37920. You guys have my address on record.
Excuse me one moment. Could we start the clock, please? Thank you. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm talking against this development because I live on Tipton Station. I live about 3 miles from where this development is coming in. And the traffic on Tipton Station during school zone time and also during rush hour is horrendous. I can't get out of my driveway half the time because if there's an accident on Chapman Highway right there, they do swing them through Tipton Station to Picking Gap and then back down onto Chapman, okay? School time, when you're going down towards John Sevier off Tipton, you cannot get past Bonnie Kate. They block the road. Bonnie Kate is blocked. You cannot get around school pickup at all. I don't know how many of you commissioners ever drove down Tipton Station during that time, but you can't get through. There's no way. Emergency vehicles would not be able to get through there, okay? I don't want this property because it also is right next to South Doyle. It's going to cause overcrowding to the schools. We have 3 other developments that are still being developed that are feeding into this school. We have 1 high school, 1 middle school in South Knoxville. They are going to overcrowd. I keep hearing, no, they're not, no, they're not. I have friends who has a senior at South Doyle. They say the teacher-to-student ratio is outrageous. Thank you.
I'm Spencer Proctor. I live at 2122 Tipton Station Road. I'm one of the 4 neighbors that lives adjacent to the property being proposed of the change. My specific opposition is more for the density. The initial opposition through Planning Commission was I do oppose the entirety of it. But as Mr. Mullins has said, we've worked together, and I'm okay with their 3.7 designation. I wanted to use just a few minutes, if it's okay with you all, to address my concerns at the outset, where as I studied the 72-page sector plan for South County, I hear a lot both in Planning Commission and in this body. It's referenced regularly, which is great to have the sector plan, and I know that was a voted on document, and I feel that it was voted on as an entirety. But when we look at the sector plan, there's a 5-year and a 15-year plan included, and the amount of things that have not even been touched on those plans is outstanding. The things that have been touched are privatized money. And so we've approved neighborhood after neighborhood after neighborhood, and we haven't addressed the infrastructure issues with Tipton Station. The LOS of Tipton Station wasn't horrible in 2012 when they addressed it, but for John Sevier, it was already at a D out on a scale down from A to F. It was already at a D on John Sevier, and a John Sevier hasn't been addressed. In that same sector plan, it's called for adjustments, improvements to John Sevier by 2024, and those have not begun. Money hasn't been designated for that, to my knowledge. And so my request in standing here with you is I understand, I should speak only for myself, I understand that growth and expansion is inevitable and necessary, but that growth strategically is the wisest plan forward. And so if we're looking at the community, just to say there's an infrastructure in place because there's sidewalks in a library, I think is missing the point. I do think that there are, as mentioned, the traffic is a problem there. This is between school zones. To exit this neighborhood, you cannot avoid a school zone. It is not possible. There's not a back road, no way out. You're in a school zone. The traffic mentioned by Mr. Mullins is this development, but that doesn't include the 33 homes across the street that are approved, the 176 homes off John Sevier Highway that are directly down the road, and among many, many, many more in this Chapman Highway corridor that have been approved. So the concerns that I feel I do represent a lot of community members, even in the meeting that was mentioned with the community. I'm not sure that anybody at that community meeting was in favor of this development, and the Planning Commission has a comment section that there were 88 comments, 80 of them opposed, 8 of them for. And I'll just speak to my experience with the Planning Commission, that I stood up and spoke and honestly felt relatively dismissed and unheard in that. And I'd feel like this is a better body to speak to because you are elected officials. So I'm asking that, and happy to clarify any thoughts or questions, but in looking at that sector plan that is referenced regularly as a standard by which we operate on, there's not many things that are being touched outside of privatized money. So we would very much like for you to consider the expansion and improvement of Tipton Station, the expansion improvement of John Sevier Highway, so that things like traffic and school overcrowding are addressed. I know that those things are in the works and years down the road maybe, but we come up against them quickly when houses are being built. So those are the main concerns, and I would, again, part of the issues that I've talked with Commissioner Daley about is that the community is able to participate in a lot of these conversations, but it's difficult to know how and when. And when this sector plan was approved, I was graduating college, not married yet, not with my 3 children, haven't moved onto the property that I now own. That was a long time ago. And so to approve things and stand by them when the community that is now deeply involved was not able to be involved during that time, I feel like there should be quicker updates or honest changes to sector plans when things are not being addressed. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for speaking to us. Did you have a brief comment, Mr. Mullins?
Just briefly, I appreciate Mr. Proctor and Ms. Keene's comments, and the schools. Is that something that Ms. Frazier and I Commissioner Frazier and I spoke about as well? And I wasn't able to actually reach out to South Doyle and Bonnie Kate, see what their capacity is. But I do know the planning staff, when they put their reports together, they have a method that's derived from data that I think that they share with the school board about what the student yield would be. And at 5 units an acre, we were looking at 22 students at build-out among 3 different schools is what they had estimated. If that's directly proportional to breaking it down to 3.7, we're looking at 16 to 17 students over three schools, and that's not just, an immediate, dump of 16, 17 students into the school system. That's kind of matriculated over time and doesn't account for people that move through the school system as well. So I'd be happy to answer any questions. I understand the frustration about some of the infrastructure out there. I have to rely upon, my conversations with Mr. Snowden that says that, Tipton Station, the level of service would still be within an acceptable level, average trips per day with this development, even at the 5 units an acre, much less the 3.7 units an acre. So I would be happy to answer any questions, but still appreciate if you would approve this. Thank you.
Thank you. Director Brooks, would you please read the recommendation for this item?
Certainly. Planning Commission recommends that County Commission approve the PR Plan Residential Zone up to 5 dwelling units per acre because it's compatible with the surrounding development and supported by a close proximity to community facilities by a vote of 13-0.
Thank you. Seeing no other lights, Commissioner Daly?
Thank you, Madam Chair. First of all, I want to thank Spencer. Spencer's been a voice of reasoning. He's done a lot of research. He has met with CMH Homes. He's met with Mr. Mullins. And yes, we do have some problems out there. Yes, we do have Tipton Station Road that is our only east-west road besides Governor John Sevier, correct, Mr. Snowden? And it is on a plan to widen, but once we get to that, who knows when we're going to get to that plan. It will be widened one of these days. I'll soon be 64. I don't know if I'll see it or not. Hopefully I'll see it in the next 30 years. Yes, John Sevier has been spoken about. John Sevier, Jim's lovely wife, Miss Amanda, there's going to be some work done there to improve some intersections. I'm trying to get them TDOT, not to spend money on the intersections, go ahead and widen from Alcoa Highway to Chapman Highway, and that will reduce 80% of the traffic. 80% of the traffic gets off at Chapman Highway. You don't need to expand John Sevier Highway all the way to Asheville Highway. And so I think they're very receptive about that, but it takes 7 years, if I'm not correct, to start a project after they get their funding going. So yes, John Sevier is going to be 4 lanes, hopefully sooner than later. We talk about overcrowded at the schools. Bonnie Kate, yes, Bonnie Kate is overcrowded. It's on the South Knoxville plan to be expanded. Where we're going to expand it is going to be the question. Do we lose the old facade of the building, or do we take the teacher's parking lot? That's going to be a question, but we will. It's in the plans to expand. New Hopewell Elementary, we're going to get 1,000-student elementary school here. I'm pushing for 2025. I'm asking the mayor to move it up to 2025. It's in the plans, and we do have a lot of growth there. The high school is not overcrowded. High school can handle 400 more students. We're at less than 1,000 in the 900s. Middle school's getting close, but I think we've got room there. If we had to expand the middle school, we can do that. So, yeah, would I like to see things the way they are? Yes, but I've been there 60 years. So I've been there when a lot of people's houses weren't built. My house was the only house on my house, and the other 2 houses were only houses on my road. That's not that way anymore. The sidewalk, we approved tonight on the consent on education calendar for Bonnie Kate. That's been approved, so we'll get on that real quickly. So hopefully by Mr. Snowden, maybe 3 months, you think? we can have that in there in 3 months, so that sidewalk will extend. The missing link is no longer going to be a missing link there for Bonnie Kate. So I'm asking, the concept plan calls for 72, I think, but we're asking 3.7, which is 74. Ben, does that include the farmhouse and the rancher in that 74?
Yeah, the concept plan includes the farmhouse and the rancher. The 3.7 is just, the concept plan could change, or could be we're still working with them about maybe, what to do with the easement, or that can be moved or abandoned at some point. And so that gives us a little bit of leeway one way or the other. But if the concept plan was approved moving forward with what we have, it'd be 70, I think, one total, including the 2 lots. That's.
Mr. Snowden, do you think that a turn lane right in could be put there to help some of the traffic? It will not help the Bonnie Kate traffic. The only way to help the Bonnie Kate traffic is 4-laning, and we're not going to be able to do that anytime soon.
We had asked the applicant, and Ben may know about this, I haven't seen it, to do a traffic impact letter to look at the warrants for those auxiliary turn lanes for the right turn decel and the left turn. And I haven't seen that study yet. It wasn't going to be a full-blown study, but just an analysis of those auxiliary lanes. So I unfortunately don't have that information just yet.
Good. It would benefit the new development there if there was a right-hand turn lane. And I'm sure that you all would not have a problem putting in a right in. We can't have a right out, of course, but we can have a right in. But if it warrants calls, I trust the highway department. They know what they're doing. So that's about all the questions I see some lights on. Before I make a motion, I'll turn it over to the other commissioners.
Thank you. Commissioner Frazier?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Commissioner Daly asked some of the questions I was going to ask. Director Snowden, is Tipton Station Road, is it on the road improvement plan? And can you tell me what the timeline is for that, if so, or if not, can it be?
Sure, yeah, it has shown up on previous plans. It was not identified as part of the advanced Knox process. They looked at kind of a little smaller segment of it. Right now, we've got a count station close by that location, or this location, and it shows about 4,000 vehicles per day. With the width that the current roadway has, which probably varies between 10 and 11 foot lanes, so you're probably 20 to 22 feet wide. It would be something that in the absence of crashes, which we don't see also here, that it would be sometime many years down the road. It would probably be in excess of 10 years before we looked at this. I think Commissioner Daly makes a good point. We are working with TDOT and think the expansion of Johnsonville Highway from Chapman Highway to Alcoa Highway, especially with the completion of Alcoa Highway, would bring a whole lot of value to that corridor.
You did state that you're going to request a traffic impact letter. Can you just kind of briefly discuss what are the types of things that we could possibly require of the applicant to improve Tipton Station Road?
Sure. One of the things that we asked them to do is obviously we want to make sure that their line of sight is appropriate, which we think it probably is, but we want to verify that. And then when we look at it, we certainly want to make sure that their development traffic, both the slowing rights and the stopping lefts, are outside of the through traffic to avoid what these folks are talking about as far as additional delays. So we have asked them to do a traffic analysis of that intersection and then look at our access control policy to see if it complies with the warrants for the right and the left, and if it does, we would require that of them in their concept plan that would be heard by Planning Commission in October.
Thank you, Director Snowden. Mr. Mullins, you plan to cluster most of these homes because of the environmental constraints with that blue line stream, correct?
Well, when you say cluster, I mean, we're making a traditional subdivision. I think the lots vary between like 5 and 10,000 square feet per lot. The existing lots are larger. There's some environmental constraints to the west of the easement where there's some flooding. There's a floodway zone there as well that we'll have to address. But yes, it's going to be trying to avoid the more difficult areas and put the lots where they make the most sense.
And Commissioner Daly, I tried to get him to help us out with sidewalks all the way down Tipton Station, but he didn't go for it.
Commissioner Schoonmaker?
Thank you, Madam Chair. This question is for Mr. Mullins. Is it my understanding that you've already filed a concept plan with Knox Planning for the October meeting?
That's correct. There's a concept plan that is pending. Staff's recommendation isn't out, and so there's still room to work on that with what the county wants.
And you're identifying on that plan 71 building units plus 2 additional existing structures for a total of 73?
I think it's a total of 71 lots. Is that right? Yes.
Is that including the 2 houses?
That includes the 2 houses. There's a pre-1900 farmhouse and a 1960s rancher on the properties now that are going to remain.
Okay, so if I'm doing my math correctly, that's 3.5 dwelling units an acre, based on your concept plan.
I'll trust your math more than I trust my math.
So I
Mr.
guess
Schoonmaker.
if you've already filed a concept plan, why would you want to ask for a higher density, which would be closer to 76 lots?
I think it'd be 74 lots with 3.7 on it is what I did the math before.
20.67?
20.67. And the reason for that, Commissioner Schoonmaker, is we're still working with the neighbors about potentially whether they would be willing to abandon the easement and use the public roads or relocate that. And that gives us some more room to revise that concept plan. Might give us more room to address the capital improvements needed for some of the improvements that the county may recommend after our traffic impact letter.
Okay, thank you.
Seeing no other lights, Commissioner Daly?
Thank you. Good question, Commissioner Schoonmaker. There's some more negotiations going on there, so that's why we're asking for the 3.7. And Clayton Homes and Ben, I asked you to work with Spencer, Mr. Proctor, and especially on the concept plan coming up, on the screening, the vegetation, type of screening, make a good screening and everything. And like I say, I wish that, a lot of times they don't get along too well. But Spencer's been awesome. He's been great. He's been the go-between between the neighbors. And Spencer and I have had a lot of texting and calling each other. So I think Spencer's learned a little bit about zoning and sector plans and everything. So I would like to make a motion. Let me get it down here. Approve the PR plan residential zone up to 3.7 dwelling units per acre because it is compatible with the developed and supporting close to proximity to the community facilities. 3.7.
Thank you. We have a motion by Daly. Do we have a second? Second by Jay. Seeing no other lights, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item.
Item number 58, 8-I-23-RZ is a request of Stephen Ward for rezoning from A agricultural to RA low-density residential located at 4613 and 4609 West Beaver Creek Drive, parcel ID 066-14401 and 14501, part of, in the 6th Commission District.
Thank you. Is the applicant present? Please come forward, sir, with your name and address.
Good evening. My name is Stephen Ward. I'm located at 6667 Maynardville Pike in Knoxville, Tennessee.
Thank you, Mr. Ward. Is there any opposition to this? Seeing none, Director Brooks?
Planning Commission recommends that County Commission approve the RA low-density residential zone because is it an extension of the zoning from the south and is consistent with the sector plan and surrounding development by a vote of 13-0 consent.
Thank you.
Chairman Hill, if I might, sir, you weren't sworn in before, were you?
No, sir, my
Would you-
apologies.
Would you raise your right hand, please? You solemnly swear or affirm testimony you're about to give be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Brooks. Do we have any comments or questions? Being, Mr. Ward, that you're in my district, I see that this is just a little over an acre. Could you share with me your plan?
It's actually the homeowner had requested this. The property is currently zoned agricultural, which would require a 1 acre minimum. They're wanting to create a lot in the rear for their daughter, I believe, to construct a house on. And that was the reason for the change to the zoning, was to allow the additional lot. And it is on sanitary sewer at this point, which is with agricultural zoning, that's why you get the 1 acre minimum, is because of the wells and the septic requirement, which is no longer an issue with this property.
All right. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'd like to go ahead and make a motion, please, that we approve the RA, low-density residential zoning, because it is an extension of the zoning from the south and is consistent with the sector plan.
Second.
A motion on the floor by Hill, second by Oster. Seeing no other lights, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Next item.
Item number 59 is 8-J-23-RZ, request of Samuel Harwood for rezoning from RAE exclusive residential to RA low-density residential. Properties located at 8117 River Drive, parcel ID 076JB00201 in the 6th Commission District.
Thank you. You are the applicant.
Yes, I am. I'm Samuel Harward. I live at 8117 River Drive, Oak Ridge, Tennessee, 37830.
Thank you. Is there any opposition to this? Seeing none, Commissioner Brooks?
Planning Commission recommends that County Commission approve RA low-density residential zone because of the RA zone is not very different from the RAE zone, and it would fit in with the rest of the neighborhood and surrounding zones with the condition that the only additional use permitted on review is a garage apartment by a vote of 12-0.
Thank you. Would you like to speak to this item, sir?
Sure, I can explain what I'm planning. I have a house on a 3/4 acre lot in the Birchfield subdivision. I'd like to build a garage with an apartment above it, but the subdivision is zoned RAE, which does not allow any second dwelling on a lot. So my request is to change to RA, which would allow use on, or permit on review, use on review. So then my plan, if you approve, would be to go to planning and request that.
Thank you. Commissioner Jay?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ms. Brooks, can you just explain that? I don't think I've ever seen RAE in 6 years. Can you explain what that is?
We don't have a lot of it in the county, but this zone is exclusively residential. You'll notice in some of the other zones that other types of uses are allowed. For instance, like in the RA zone, you can have churches and schools and gardening and horticulture, public golf courses, et cetera. But in the RAE, it is exclusively residential uses only. Houses, sorry, I'm scrolling back up. Houses, accessory uses, building, no, get that correctly, yeah. Public utilities, it is very limited.
Okay, so accessory buildings with a residence is allowed in RA.
RA and not RAE, correct.
Commissioner Frazier?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Can't even talk, Madam Chair. Thank you. Director Brooks, would an additional septic system need to support this? I know because we're going outside of the zoning in this subdivision. If we approve this, I'm concerned about the capacity of the septic system.
I don't believe so. Director Snowden, can you speak to that?
Yes, if approved and approved by Planning Commissioner, Commissioner Frazier, before we would issue a building permit for this, we would require the health department certify that there was adequate supply.
Thank you.
I actually have a permit for a second septic system from the health department. That was some of the pre-work that I did.
Great, thank you.
Commissioner Schoonmaker?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm probably one of the few commissioners that knows what an RAE zone is, just because of my previous tenure as with the Council of West Knox County Homeowners. This zoning designation is very unique in Knox County, and it was originally set up probably 50, 60 years ago for those communities where it would be basically very, very low-density residentials. In fact, if you look at the street is only 15 feet wide. So that should tell you right away that this is not a high-volume neighborhood. The other thing is, because he's right on the Clinch River, this whole community was designated just that kind of neat area. And the requirements are that you could only have your home and any accessory building cover 30% of the lot, which is amazing. So it was designed to give that open area around the home. And of course, the staff recommended denial of this. And it's probably because they're very familiar with the RAE zoning. I don't think the planning commissioners probably have ever heard of this before, just like Commissioner Jay had said. So I'd be in favor of denying this because you're kind of interrupting what is already designated for that community that has probably been in place for, I'm guessing, probably 50 years.
Seeing no other lights. This is in my district. I'm very familiar with Birchfield Heights. I am your commissioner. I went out twice and tried to catch you at home.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's all right. And you'll just have to, I'll have to ask for permission after the fact. I did walk through your carport and
It's fine.
look around. If I may, where is that garage apartment going to be located?
Okay, so the original lot was actually two lots that the previous owner had purchased, and then he combined them. It's, when you look at the house,
Yes.
it's the right-hand side.
That's what I thought.
So it's downhill from the house
Yeah.
to the right. Yeah.
Yes, that was kind of what I envisioned when I saw there. To your point, Commissioner Schoonmaker, if you drive out through that area, there are some folks out there that have got some storage buildings that are nearly the size of another apartment. It's kind of a mixture of homes and outbuildings. But I absolutely can envision what it is that you're trying to do and do not have an issue with what you're trying to do on your property in your subdivision. So I'd like to go ahead and request that we approve the rezoning from RAE to RA because it is in fact very consistent with what already exists in the area.
Second.
We have a motion on the floor by Hill, a second by Daly. Seeing no other lights, all those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, sir, and good luck to you.
Thank you.
Next item, please.
Number 60 is 8-K-23-RZ, request of Sarah Miller for rezoning from agricultural to RA low-density residential. The property is located at 1115 Kelly Farm Way, parcel ID 130-16306 in the 6th Commission District.
You are the applicant?
I am the property owner.
All right.
The applicant is my daughter-in-law.
All right. May I have your name and address, please?
My name is Kathy McBride, 1115 Kelly Farm Way, Knoxville, Tennessee.
Thank you. Is there any opposition? Seeing none, Director Brooks?
Planning Commission recommends that County Commission approve the RA low-density residential zone because it's consistent with the sector plan designation and will allow development compatible with the surrounding land uses and zoning pattern by a vote of 13-0 consent.
Thank you. Would you like to speak to your project?
Yes, what I'm looking at doing is dividing my property so that my son can afford to build a home
I
with the
understand.
price of houses now. So it would just be one additional unit, and we would divide the property in half. So it would be 2 half-acre lots.
All right. The total right now is 1 acre, so it would be
Correct.
divided
Right.
into half acres. All right. Are there any questions or comments? Seeing none, I'd like to, oh, I'm sorry. Director Schoonmaker?
Question for planning. I'm sorry, in the application that was accepted by Planning Commission, it says that the utilities, both the sewer and water, are provided by the Clinton Utilities Board. Is that correct?
No.
Who are your utilities, ma'am?
LCUB for electric and First Utilities District for water.
Thank you for that clarification.
Sorry about that error.
So is planning still looking it up, or they agree with what the applicant's saying?
I was looking at what was on the application. I would trust the applicant to know what their utility providers are. There might have been just an error on the application itself.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Commissioner Frazier?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just so that the applicant realizes, this is in the urban growth boundary of the town of Farragut. And so there may be road improvements that may be required of you with this rezoning. So I just
So-
want to make you aware of that.
It's a private road, so I'm a 1/10 of a mile off of Snyder, so, and there's a home behind me, so there's no roads that would affect
Just
that.
that word may, just want to make you aware.
They'd have to take a lot of property first.
Thank you, Commissioner Frazier. Commissioner Schoonmaker? I'm sorry. That's all right, all right. Seeing no other lights, I'd like to go ahead and make the recommendation that we approve this request from agriculture to RA on the property located 1115 Kelly Way. It is consistent with the sector plan designation. Motion by Hill, second by Beeler. Seeing no other lights, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, ma'am. Next item.
Item number 61, 7-F-23-RZ is a request of Sam Hargrove for rezoning from A agricultural to RA low-density residential at 1412 Church Pit Road, parcel ID 105114 in the 3rd Commission District.
Is the applicant present? This was actually deferred last month because of failure of the applicant to show. Commissioner Oster, do you have any information?
I don't have any updates, and I actually wanted to ask Director Brooks, have we heard from him?
We have not, but I know that our staff did follow up with Mr. Hargrove, confirmed that the email was correct, and then sent another letter to them to let them know they needed to be here.
Okay. There again, we're still kind of at a loss, correct, on the number of what he's wanting to do even?
That is correct, besides what's in the, because it was passed on consent at Planning Commission.
Okay.
We could make some speculation, but
Yeah, I'm kind of at a loss here since he's not shown up. He's not had any communication with me or planning staff. So I think this is where I can, I don't really feel like I need to defer it any longer. So I think that I'll probably make a motion to, do I deny? Yeah, I'm going to make a motion to deny, make sure I get it right, the RA zone because the applicant hasn't shown and we have no further information on the property.
Second.
Oh, perfect. Thank you.
Excuse me, let her have the home run.
We have a motion by Oster, second by Frazier. Commissioner Schoonmaker, your no comments?
No.
All right.
I was just going to
what
reaffirm that,
she'd
yes,
said.
we need to deny this.
All right. Proper motion is on the floor to deny. Seeing no other lights, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We have no zoning appeals or amendments to Knox County zoning ordinance. Other business? Commissioner Daly?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Remember Thursday, we have a 4 o'clock
Yes, sir.
meeting at the East Tennessee History Center, then TCCA right after that at 6.
Yes.
This Thursday.
Commissioner Schoonmaker?
Yeah, I was just, we beat me to the punch.
Please, commissioners, if I may, be sure that you put any suggestions you might have for legislative changes. And before we adjourn, I just would like to suggest that you always forgive your enemies because nothing annoys them more. And on that, we are adjourned. Motioned, we are adjourned.